suspected of having any COVID symptoms or even COVID positive will be treating here, just different days. And it turned literally all of our lives upside down in that facility because we're a team at my unit and we were just looking at each other like, what do you mean you're going to just throw us into the lion's den or something? It freaked us out. So when that started happening, we went into these like, do I still want to continue working here mode? And it made us question like a lot. Like I told one of my coworkers, I'm like, it's making me question like, what if we do get it while working here? And then we started getting more answers. They're like, oh, we're going to have you guys all wrapped up in PPE. We're going to get trained. And we all thought to ourselves, like, how are we going to get trained for something we don't know nothing about that's brand new? Like, what do you guys know that's going to help us help us be protected? Mm-hmm. So we went through a whole training and everything, screening patients, making sure things were going by. And then turns out we had to send majority of our original patients to other facilities since we became a full it turned into a mini hospital because patients were in and out, being admitted every other day, discharged every 2 weeks. It did a lot. And we saw things that were just like, wow. We were trained on how to do the COVID tests too, nasal swabs and everything. And we just saw a whole lot of things left and right. Just our first week of being a cohort unit, we saw a lot of things. It was hard.
Did a lot of your patients, did some of them get COVID?
I think out of our original patients that started with us off at Bristol, I think only like 2 or 3 of our original patients had COVID. Mm-hmm. But it was during our second surge, the December, November, whatever surge. Mm-hmm. That's when we saw them. But majority of the time, it was other facilities.
So you guys stayed open?
Yeah, we stayed open.
Yeah, you had to.
Yeah. We were the cohort unit.
People would die, right?
Yeah. We were the cohort unit for Orange County, so.
Did they pay you guys hazard pay?
They gave us bonuses.
Bonuses?
We got $200 bonuses every week.
How much?
$200 every week. Oh no, it was $100 each week, but when it gets to your paycheck, because we get paid every 2 weeks, it was $200.
Hey, that's not bad at all.
Yeah, no, it wasn't. I wasn't complaining.
It's not worth getting the COVID I got, but at least they compensated you.
Yeah.
As well as I got compensated, it was more work and more hours.
The whole company got pretty much all that, which was really good. It's not just us, like the whole company.
Oh, the government gave you guys money, right?
No, our actual company. Like, it wasn't the government. It was the company.
I don't even know what's in these stimulus packages. I just know that they only give us $1,400 for a whole year of not working. And I think that's fine. True. But I know they gave money to in the stimulus package. A lot of places like restaurants would get a certain amount of money. So what, personal business or not? What is it? What do they call them? Businesses?
Essential businesses?
No. What do they say? The private owners.
Oh, there you go.
People that own like we call them mom and pop shops, right? There was a relief bill for a lot of these people, but it was the big companies that were getting them, like TGIFs and BJ's and stuff like that. And so I wonder if there was money that was given to
pretty much
your sector, the medical sector.
Yeah, because
maybe that's what either or.
We don't know. We just know we were doing what we were supposed to do, and we were getting. There was complaints about even getting paid. I'm like, you guys, we're still doing something. We're still open, and we're thankful we still have a job. And because again, Orange County had the cohort unit here. There was one in La Habra, one I think in Riverside, and when those got full, we started taking patients from other areas, like out of the county, and it was hard because we had issues with transportations and that know if they're COVID positive. And
what's the youngest patient you got?
The youngest patient,
if you're allowed to say, I don't know.
Okay, the youngest patient, because I'm not saying names right now, but the youngest patient, I think that was just suspected of having COVID. I think he was 39. That's the youngest.
No.
Youngest patient, like dialysis patient?
Yeah. Well, 39.
39 is still pretty young. I think the youngest one I've seen so far is roughly around my age, like around 27, 28.
Well, that's just because of bad kidney, probably.
That's just, yeah.
Well, what's the average?
Average is anybody above 40.
Whoa.
above 40. And then
that had a lower recently, huh? Had to.
it went down. It went down. Yeah. It was just, you just see a lot of things in dialysis centers. A lot. I didn't believe my
It's
friends.
just scary. I mean,
Yeah.
that, like your kidneys ain't working, dude. You got to rely on this machine
Unless you
to
get a
spin your blood
transplant.
what is it, every other day?
Every other day. That's why the days are split. So we have patients that come Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and then we have patients come in Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday.
And then what's the side effects? Does it vary between patients?
It varies.
Can one person, he's 39, he's still working, he's got to work, but he could come in the morning, boom, and then go to work, or is he tired?
Depending on how good they are. Because
I'm just saying he in general.
Yeah,
you know,
it's just it's common. Like we just said, it's he or she can come in and they could be fine, go to work right after, and then we have some patients that are like, they come in and they're still swollen from having fluid still in them. Because sometimes we have to remove fluid from them, and they're like, oh, I don't feel good.
How did work? Where's the fluid at, in your blood?
It literally just develops in your stomach sometimes.
How do they How do they pull that out?
Same way they're pulling out or cleaning their blood. There's like, I don't know how the machinery properly works, but I know they're pulling out fluid sometimes.
Jeez.
And you see because they have to be weighed when they come in, and if they're over, that's when they're like, oh, let's see how much, if they have fluid. And even the patients know, no, it's the fluid. I know it's the fluid in me. And some patients come really swollen. Some come in just like, no, I don't want to do this. Like, you could tell who's just done and doesn't want to continue.
What makes you want to work there, man? Because it even when I walk in, I see him all, see him sitting there, and the smell. It's like, man, it's like to me, it reminds me of you're right there on death's doorstep.
Yeah.
And you're just clinging on, and I try not to let it get to me, but sometimes you walk in and I'm like, for example, if I'm having a bad day, which it wouldn't be when I'm delivering because it's still early in the morning, but there are times where they would get 60 boxes of the Nestle's, the drink,
the
protein. Yeah, it'd be like Nestle's, 40 boxes, and I'd be pissed, like, God, and I gotta take them out, and they're heavy, and then I roll them in, and I'm like, what are you mad about, man? Like, you're doing something good here. You're helping these people, even though, I mean, the chances of their getting a kidney replaced, or the kidneys miraculously starting to work, are very slim. You're just, so when I go in there and I do that, I said, okay, it calms me down. Like, hey, man, it could be tougher, and it's sad.
It is. Well, this is what actually inspired me to become a social worker, because we have social worker, we have a dietitian, we have our RNs, we have like a team. You pretty much have a team. Every patient has that team. So we have patients that hit depression, and they hit it hard to the point where, like, I'll just stop coming to dialysis. I don't care if I die. And then you're there, even though I'm just the front desk, or I'm a medical secretary, whatever I may be. Sometimes just talking to them, and you just remind them, and then you remind yourself, there's a reason why you're working here. It could be just to be like, you may be having a tough day because, yes, you're coming here and everything, but you still got to see there's more to life than just being at home and waiting for death to be at your door. Like, I like the environment where I work right now, because my patients all get along with each other. Some of them come off at the same time, and they're chatting up a storm where a couple weeks ago, one patient, like an example, one patient was like, I don't want to be here anymore. I'm done. I'd rather just go to sleep one night and not wake up the next. And then here he is a week later with his dialysis friends, chatting up, saying, I can't wait. There's hope. There's this, there's that for me. I don't want to stop. I want to continue.
How big is this wait list?
The wait list for, like,
kidneys.
Oh my gosh. Depending on what time. It's not just a list.
How do they choose? I mean, how does that work? Is it through a list, or is
it's not through a list? It's pretty much, you have to be. It is kind of through a list. They try to explain it to me. It's really hard because there's family members that test to see if they're even a match for their family member, or the cadaver kidneys, which means, like, if somebody is an organ donor when they pass away, they see if anybody's a match, but it's through a list. It's like first come, first serve, or not first come, first serve, but like who's been on the list longer. The time on the wait list on the, like, it's 7 to 12 years. So you're looking at 7 to 12 years of being on dialysis, hoping you get a kidney. unless you have a family member that.
So both kidneys are shot, right? When this happens, because you could function on one kidney.
You can't function on one kidney, yeah, for sure. But
you're on a strict diet for the rest of your life.
Oh yeah, so most patients can only get 32 ounces of water just for the day, and it has to be like little cups.
Damn, they don't want to stress out their kidneys, huh?
Yeah.
Is it safe for people when they have those big old things like this much in the morning, the afternoon? I mean, is it safe for people who are like smashing a lot of water like that?
I mean, it's safe because water, what does water do? It cleans out your system, so it's good. Like, I used to drink a gallon of water a day, and they come in sometimes seeing me with my big old hydro flask, and they're like, oh, they give me, sometimes they make fun of me. They're like, see, Maria, you're taking care of your kidneys. They're like, don't be like me and live on a machine. And I'm like, please don't do that to me, sir. It's like, I get what you're saying, but don't do that to me. Don't. Because they just look at me drinking water, and sometimes they're limited on their water. I'm just like, okay, I'm sorry.
Yeah, so they're on a strict diet, huh?
Yeah, there's a lot of they can't have certain fruits. And when they try to drink water, that includes not eating some soups.
I was gonna say, how big do you think the black market is?
I make jokes about this.
No, it happens.
Yeah, I know it's true.
I've heard stories of people waking up they'd go out, they're hanging out at the bar by themselves, and this good-looking girl will come up. Obviously, they're not. I mean, I don't know who they target. Obviously, they're gonna look at someone that looks healthy, and they bring in the girl. She coerces him into the room, puts some in his drink, and he wakes up in the bathtub full of ice.
And his kidney scar.
Yeah, his kidney. Yeah, both kidneys are gone. Yeah. Would they take both, you think?
No, sometimes they could just take one.
They just take one.
It's like weird how I know this stuff too, because I make jokes like this with my friends. We're the dark mobile.
Like if the person never show up, like he came a few times, and all of a sudden you kind of sense he had some type of money or connection, and he stopped showing up. Like, I bet you Jose got a new kidney from the black market.
Yeah. Like, they say like a kidney can go probably anywhere between 100,000 to 500,000. That's what we've heard.
Really?
Yeah. Depending on how big, like, I mean, dialysis patients.
How many doctors do you think, I've delivered to, or maybe doctors that might have a little basement in their homes set up for surgeries like that, where they make money on the side, dude?
I suspect every doctor I know. I suspect them a lot.
You would think so, because they don't make that much money anymore like they used to.
No. And then I'm like, you selling kidneys on the side? I look at certain doctors and I'm like, ooh, you got kidneys in the basement, don't you? Because we have some doctors that come in with brand new Teslas, and I'm like, how'd you get that Tesla all of a sudden? I'm like, oh, you saw a kidney or two. There you go. There's a Tesla.
Yeah, it would be the perfect scheme. You come in, people come in, and you kind of know how much money they got. They got money. You go up to them one day, or maybe show up at their house and be like, hey, you want a kidney? And people will pay it. They'll find a way.
Yeah. Desperate times call for desperate measures sometimes, and you got it. If you need a kidney that bad, you need something, you're going to find a way. I mean.
So you're one of the lucky, I consider lucky. We could say blessed, or whatever you want to say, but you're one of the ones that was working through all this pandemic.
Yeah.
It affected us too. I know it has affected a lot of people that didn't work, that got shut down. A lot of people at Disneyland lost their jobs. And we're talking about millions of people that the business sector, or the restaurant sector, the club sector, people that were involved with concerts and helping out at concerts. Michael Burns, I was on the show last week. He works for a venue, so they're always doing venues, but he's been out of work, and so many people were out of work, and we were the lucky ones, or the blessed ones to do the job. But it affected a lot of people that didn't, man. How bad. We were talking earlier a little bit about this relationships. You're saying a lot of your friends, everyone's just
there's a trend. There's a trend. It's a trend right now in my life. It's been a trend since probably, I'm going to say, literally when the second surge began in November, before the holidays kicked in. I started noticing a lot of my friends were breaking up, or friends were disappearing left and right, and secrets were coming out. And when the pandemic started, I also noticed that there was a lot of divorce rates going up. It's like, now all of a sudden you guys don't love each other because you're in the house 24/7 with each other. But yeah, I noticed that big trend right now. A lot of my friends are coming up to me and they're like, hey, so me and so just broke up, and I don't know what to do, and blah blah blah. And I'm like, whoa, 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 what do you mean?
Are you talking about years? People being
yeah,
together
people
for
being
years?
together for years. I recently had a friend who just went through. He was with his girl for probably, I'm gonna say, almost 11 years.
Were they living together?
They were living together.
Okay.
No kids, but she, he wanted kids. She turned out to be like saying, I don't want kids. I don't want this and that. I don't want. She pretty much put it as, I don't want the responsibility of having a child. And he already proposed to her too. Like, they've been engaged probably a good 2 years. And then out of the blue, he's like, something switched on both of us. I'm like, what happened? And come to find out that she was talking to a guy at work the same week that she broke up with him and left him with the lease. She moved in with that guy. I'm like,
hey, girls will do some shady shit.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
I just heard something too. I gotta refresh my memory. Cause yeah. What else?
I mean, I went through my own breakup.
Oh yeah, no, I have a good friend of mine. Sorry to cut you off. I just remembered. Yeah, he's good. They went separate ways, and one of them accusing them of leaving them high and dry.
Yeah.
Because one of them wasn't working, and so they owed lots of money to back pay. But the COVID relief was gonna take care of it from what they researched. But a lot of people are leaving each other high and dry, huh?
Yeah, high and dry. The leases some leases can't be broken.
Hopefully the goose is worth the gander. You just one thing I've seen people do is go from one. They can't be by themselves, so they go from one relationship to another right off the bat. It's like, man, give yourself a breather. Like, take a break.
Yep.
I mean, what makes her think that it's gonna be better by switching men? Like.
I personally believe, like,
because it's always going to be good.
If you're already cheating on somebody and you go with if you go with that person you're cheating with behind the person who's there for you, like, through thick and thin, when you had your last dollar and everything, and yet you spend your last dollar on them, and they're your ride or die and everything, to cheat on them behind their back and then move in with them, leaving that person high and dry and moving in with them. Like, no, who's to say they won't do that to you because you did this to this person? That's when I start thinking, I'm like, you know what? Karma's just going to get her back. I told him, like, karma's going to get her back tenfold, and it's just going to come back in your favor because you did everything right. You were making your steps.
Yeah, a lot of people have been, I know a lot of stories, and what's sad about it is a lot of these people don't back. They don't get back to where they were. Like, it really affects them mentally. Some people go in depression, and some people, get suicidal thoughts, or they gain weight, or whatever it is. They just disappear off the mat. And that's sad because, hey, man, it's only a breakup. Like, fuck it, man. There's almost like 10 billion people in this world.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You'll if it wasn't the right one, it's not the right one, then move on.
I mean,
but that's karma's right.
Yeah,
karma's gonna get them.
Come back, 'cause,
karma's real.
Like, personally, me, back in 2019, I was engaged. I was with this dude for 7 years. I mean, me and him are friends, obviously, right now. Like, a lot of people give me crap about that. They're like, how are you friends with your ex? And I'm like, well, it's 7 years right there. Me and him bonded a lot. We bonded a lot. I still talk to his family. His family still talks to me. He's already moved on, obviously. But that first month, we broke up back in November 2019, like 2 weeks before Thanksgiving, and we were supposed to get married Halloween 2020. And
whoa,
yeah, it happens. I mean, did I hate him for a while? Of course, you're gonna go through the motions of the breakup, but we had already started planning a wedding. I had my wedding dress. We had half the venue already paid off. You said,
where were you gonna get married at?
Yeah.
Where were you gonna go?
We were gonna go to Dove Canyon down in Rancho Santa Margarita.
Wow.
We put a deposit down to the church. Like, he follows me on Instagram. He's obviously probably gonna hear the podcast, but I don't mean to throw you. I mean, I'm gonna say his name. I don't mean to throw you under the bus, Vic, but it was hard.
What was his name?
Victor, yeah.
Oh.
But
Victor, you messed up, man. Now she's popular. She's on a podcast. She's taken off. Talk a little bit about your podcast. Didn't you got a podcast?
Yeah.
You're going to try to start a podcast?
Me and my best friend, Miss Evelyn. Miss Evelyn, me and her have known each other for 10 years. And we're always, like, people who follow me on my Instagram, they know I'm always with her. Doing something, some chaotic adventure because we're insane. We're just trying to become a podcast to have an open space for everybody to talk about any issue they may have, any advice they may need, because we've noticed some things too about me and her is that people come to us for advice. And Evelyn is only 25. I met her when she was 15 and I'm 28. So I obviously met her when I was 18. And even then, that's 10 years of friendship right there. And we may separate from each other sometimes, but we always come back. And every time we come back and we link up,
you just leave where you left off.
Yeah, literally.
Yeah, that's a lot of my friends. Yeah, for sure. That's good.
We're just trying to see if we can create a safe space for everybody to come and talk to about anything they want. We did a promo episode like 2 weeks ago in Newport Beach in her car, and we just randomly talked about anything. We talked about ghost stories. We talked about things we experienced. Like, we have nicknames for guys that have done some shady shit to us. Like, our favorite phrase right now is, "Who could forget Dear Rat Boy" from The Simpsons? That's our favorite line right now. Like, we're just two girls going around talking to you and you talking to us about whatever you want to talk about, whether it be relationship advice, life advice, or even trying to pick out some lottery numbers or something. Because she reads tarot cards too, and that's her business right now. That's what she's doing. And I'm just I'm the grown up. I'm the mom sometimes. I'll give firm but good advice. That's just how it is between me and her. We're just trying to be good. Yeah, it's fine.
Over burping.
It's fine.
Yeah, I think this is the first time I talked about relationships. You know, I try not to talk about my personal life, but everyone knows I'm married, and I've been with my lady since I was in high school.
Oh, so you guys are high school sweethearts.
Yeah, 15, since I was 15, she was 14. And the advice I give people now, I said, is it tough? Yeah, trust me.
It's not always rainbows and butterflies.
That couch right there, I've slept on there a few times since, you know, I started this podcast, and you got to be willing to grow and be submissive. So, over the years, I tell people you got to fight through the tough times, because once you come out of them, it's definitely better. You're both growing. You're still growing mentally. Your thoughts and your opinions change as you get older. I mean, COVID was a big thing with me. Is I was like, it's not a big deal. They're making the government make a big deal. And then I got it, and I felt like I cheated death, which was a quote for someone else who had it just as bad as me. Yeah. And your opinion changes. So
your outlook on life changes for sure.
I think if everyone has a goal, when you're in a relationship, if you both have a goal, I'm not saying right when you first meet them, like, hey, what's your goals? But once you get to where it's serious, you guys got to have a plan. You got to have a 1-year plan, 2-year plan, 5-year plan, 10. And, you know, one of our plans is to retire somewhere and just, you know, do a little bit of farming, you know, rely on ourselves and for food and stuff like that, because, you know, being able to go to the store and getting whatever you want. I mean, I don't know. I kind of like the outdoors. Me and my kids like to go camping and stuff. So as long as you have that long-term plan of, like, this is my dream, and whatever happens along the way, at least you know you have an end, or you're working towards an end. But with COVID, man, it changed. Suicide rate went up. But then I also heard a lot of the pregnancy rates went up too, didn't they?
Oh, bro. I have friends that posted that they were pregnant, and I'm just like, okay, so social distancing didn't really work at your house, but you got a little pride and joy coming out, which I saw it that way. I'm like, okay, maybe some people just needed to be locked up inside to be like, hey, this is how we're going to start the family now. Like, it's growing. I had 3 friends that were pregnant during the first time in March. They announced in May, like, hey, guess what? I'm pregnant. I'm like, oh, so that's what y'all are doing inside. I was like, no tienen tele. You guys don't have a TV or something.
I know. People, I couldn't imagine just being my kid's been at home. But we make sure to get them outside, get them walking around.
I applaud the kids that had to go to school.
It's just sad. My daughter graduated last year. We had to do it. We had to drive people drove by it honking,
Yeah.
or whatever they call it.
My cousin did too.
But it's sad.
It's sad because my little cousin wanted to walk across the stage because her brothers and her brother and her sisters, they all went to Sagerstrom High here in Santa Ana, and they all got to walk across the stage, and she was the only one that got the drive by.
Really?
Yeah, but we were all proud of her. She's a good kid, and we were proud of her. I'm like, hey, look at it this way: in the midst of a pandemic, you still managed to graduate high school. You're going to college. You're doing everything right. The only takeaway was just walking across the stage, but you still got your family here supporting you, even if it's just driving by really quick and leaving you something. But you still got us. We're still here for you.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I have a nephew and a niece graduating this year from high school, and there's a chance they might get to walk across the stage. I'm like, if you guys get the chance, think of the class before you and be like, this is for the class of 2020. They ain't gonna get a walk. I always think of that phrase, so and so ran walked so and so can run. And I'm like looking at it, I'm like, the class of 2020 sat in front of a computer so the class of 2021 could walk across the stage. That's the way I see it for them. I mean, what else can we do?
Just we all gotta just stick together.
Mm-hmm.
You gotta support each other. I think when it going back to relationships, I think people, my opinion, is I think majority of the people that do those breakups are giving up too soon. You know, I think
Sometimes,
for most people that I know, you give up too soon. You know, and unless people ain't telling us everything, you know, I feel you give up too soon. Like, there were many times I wanted to give up. But the fact that I didn't give up and we worked through things, it just grows that bond even stronger. And, you know, it could be the other way either, you know.
Yeah, it really just depends. Like, in my personal opinion and personal experience, I know I didn't do as much as I was supposed to in my last relationship, but it was a learning curve. Now I know, but I still got that whole, I don't know if I'm really ready to date, even though it's been almost 2 years since it happened. But like right now, I'm talking to somebody, and I don't know if I want to make it official because it's the PTSD for me.
Yeah, for sure.
Like, for sure, it's the PTSD for me because you never know what could happen, and it's the beginning stages. Like, oh, is this really gonna work out? Is it not? Like, I make that, me and my mom make that joke. She's like, you're almost 30, you still don't have kids. I'm like, Mom, having kids is not the race. It's finding the right person to be a parent with, to grow old with, to share the next Christmas is for the rest of your life with your kids and everything. Grow old with. Just, you can't rush it. And then I also started noticing it's like breakups are coming through, and then friendships are ending too.
You think when we had this big old election back in November, you think Donald Trump? This is what I was thinking the other day. I was like, okay, you know, I respect the Constitution. I'm all about the Constitution. And when Donald Trump was the president, now that he's gone, I felt like, man, I think he made America more separated than ever before.
It's true.
Like, he caused a lot of separation, and then with COVID and everything going on, there's a lot of, like, when Donald Trump was around, I had homies that were for Biden, and then I had homies that were for Trump, and they were people were friends for years since elementary,
and it just ends,
and then it just ends all because of Trump.
Yeah,
all because of politics. I'm like, man, when did this happen?
Like, I had a few friendships end like that abruptly because, like, I
since when did you become an activist?
Yeah, like, it just turned into something, and I had 3 friendships end within a day because of something I posted.
Isn't that sad?
Yeah,
you can't even post shit because you gotta make sure you're not
disrespecting somebody or that you're triggering
anti-sensitive.
Somebody.
I don't know. There's another term for that.
I don't know. I posted something that, of course, I didn't like Trump. I mean, that's my personal opinion. I didn't like him. And I posted something making fun of the dude because, I mean, it's still freedom of speech. We can make fun of the president.
Mm-hmm,
If it were anywhere else, we'd be shot.
mm-hmm.
And these three friends straight up made a group and they're like, oh, that's so un-American. And I'm like, bro, I have the right to say what I want. If you don't like it, then just leave. Me and you have known each other for 10 plus years or a couple of years. And if you guys are just realizing that this is who I am and what I'm going to talk about, the unfollow button is there. The block button on your phone is there. The if you see me in the street, you don't have to say hi to me is there. We could just end it here. Yeah, they did. They're like, oh,
everybody's getting too sensitive now.
Everything is like, you can't say anything anymore. And it's so stupid.
And if you do, then it's like, you're on the left, you're on the right.
I always constantly roll my eyes when people start putting crap like that. I'm like, okay, it's just a comment, dude. Don't take it so hard. It's just a little thing. It's not going to affect you in your daily life. It's just a comment. Just look at it and leave it. You heard something, just let it go. Unless it's like towards you, then yeah, do something. But other than that, if it's politics, just let it go. It's no biggie. I always say that's no biggie. Just let it go. Or just to piss them off more, I start singing "Let It Go" to them. They're like, "Hey, I'm gonna piss you off. Might as well do it more." That's another thing about me. I tend to piss off people a lot.
Oh yeah.
I tend to piss people off a lot. Like they're like, "Can you not do that?" And there I go doing it just to make you mad. Like I post things, like I post on my, you've seen my story. Sometimes I'll post I do my questions. I'll post something.
I don't think any of your stuff's offensive. It just seems normal to me.
It's normal. And
but there's people out there like for example, I just posted a picture of my wife and her brother and sister, and then my daughter was in there. And we'd have a thing. We do a funny face. You know, we just do a funny face. So I took that picture and I posted it. And someone had a comment go, absolutely weird. Like, why would you post something like that? What does that mean? Absolutely weird. Because the next picture was just my kids. And they're like, oh, that's how beautiful. And then the second picture of them making funny faces, like, absolutely weird.
I don't get people nowadays. I really don't.
I was like, what does that mean?
Like, I like...
Maybe LOL, like it was funny because it was a funny picture.
It was a funny picture.
And they go absolutely weird, like,
this is how we act. This is how we are. Like don't get all butthurt over a silly face either.
I think that's a lot of my problem too. Is when you read a text. I grew up with the first one of I was like maybe the fifth person in high school in 1997 to get a cell phone. I had the Motorola flip phone. I got a job just because I wanted a phone. And so it was a flip phone. So you was always calling people. And then the text started coming where you can hit the button 3 times. And then all these kids, now that, when they were born, I call my daughter, she's 18, the iPad baby. Because it's right there.
Yeah.
Texting real quick. And so I've always been like, I read a text and I picture them saying it, like their voice. I go, man, he sounds mad. And then I would call and be like, oh, no, man, okay. Just want to make sure because you read something and you picture their voice. I'm like, I think he's mad.
That's me too.
I hate that.
That's me too.
That's why I'm always used to calling. Like, let me just call.
That's the thing, though. I'm like that, too. Like, I'll read somebody's message. I'm like, okay, bro, why are you mad? I didn't do anything to you. I just asked how your day was going.
Oh, he's like, oh, what's your problem?
And I'm like, hold on a minute.
What do you mean how my day's going? Who told you what?
And I'm like, wait, hold on. Why are you getting mad because I said good morning? And I'll be like, hey, what did I do to you? Did I piss you off or something just by saying morning? I'm like, easy there, Kanye. And they're like, no, bro, I'm at work. I just, I'm not mad or anything. I just said good morning. I'm like, oh, it's just, I read your text and I read it in a tone. He's like, what? I'm like, yeah, that's how I read my text. I'm a big emoji user also. So if I don't see an emoji or an LOL or something, I think they're pissed. I'm like, ooh, did I piss you guys off or something?
That's why I hate text. Like, you don't know. What you know what I mean? I'd rather them call me and tell me, yeah, I'll be there right now because Sometimes whatever day you're having too, you can over exaggerate. Have you ever seen that skit? You know who Key and Peele is?
Yes.
Did you ever see that skit where he was like, "Hey man, are we still on for today?"
Oh yeah. I know what you're talking about.
And he was like, "Yes, we planned this." Like, what does he mean? He knows we planned this.
Yeah.
He said we planned this for a week. He goes, "Yes." Blah blah blah. Blah. And then he was like, "Oh, he wants to do it now."
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess if that's what you want. What?
Why are you?
Dude, I'm sorry, folks. Go look at Key and Peele and what I wonder what it's called.
I don't know the
text message.
Yeah, something text.
Go on YouTube and type in Key and Peele text message, scene or skit, whatever.
Yeah,
it's funny.
Something like that.
But that's how sometimes I would feel like, what?
Like, why are you mad? I'm just asking if you want to go get food or something. I'm just saying good morning. Do you want coffee? I'm like, duh.
It's too much.
Yeah.
It's like they say good morning and it means like, hey, do you want to come over for a morning session? You know, like it's so many different terms. I don't know, man. Like, I don't know what I'm getting anymore.
It's hard to text people nowadays sometimes. I'm a big time FaceTimer.
You FaceTimer?
I FaceTime. I love FaceTiming because I have my sisters who both live in, one lives in Arizona, one lives in Minnesota. So they got all happy when I got an iPhone because they're like, hey, welcome to the iPhone gang now. No more Android gang. And we FaceTime each other. And I love it. I love FaceTiming. So when I see other people with an iPhone, I'm like, I'm going to FaceTime you just because I want to have a visual conversation with you, not just a text conversation. And and again, during the pandemic, that was the best for me because...
Did you do Zoom and stuff like that?
Yeah, I did Zoom and everything. We did a game night.
Did you ever come in contact with COVID? Did you get the COVID shot yet?
I've been vaccinated, yeah.
Oh, you did? What'd you take?
Moderna, I think it's called. Moderna.
So you get the second one yet?
I already got it. I got it back in January.
How'd you feel?
So the first dose, I didn't feel anything because that same day I got my first dose, my best friend's apartment went on fire, caught fire. So I was just more concerned about her than anything. I didn't even feel any symptoms because I was just worried about her. But the second dose, I was scheduled at 12 noon to get it. I was home by 1, and by 1:15, I fell asleep and I didn't wake up until almost 7. It just knocked me out. And it hits everybody different. I had a headache, like a migraine headache.
So you just got one shot, or you gonna?
I got 2.
So you got the Moderna then?
Yeah, the Moderna.
So what about the second shot?
The second shot, that's when I started, when I went to sleep for like half a day.
Oh, okay, the second one. Okay.
Yeah, I went to sleep for like literally the rest of the day.
You don't know if you got a fever or anything, huh?
I did get a mild fever the next day after the shot, and then body aches, and then by the third day I was fine.
Do you know what's in it? Like, what is it doing to you besides? Because I'm hearing that it's because vaccines, right? Do you know a little bit about vaccines?
Yeah, a little bit. Because people are thinking they're putting in like, it's like how when you get the flu shot they put a dead virus.
Dead virus, yeah.
Yeah, they're thinking it's that, but I've heard so many different things. I don't even know what's true for our vaccines.
You just took it.
I just took it. My family's like, you're the guinea pig. They're like, you're the fucking guinea pig. I'm like, okay, fine.
But you have to. Are you required to?
We were offered it at our job. So my job offered it to us because we're medical workers. So they're like, hey, you guys get it, and we got it. And I'm like, okay.
How long are you immune for? Or how long does it last?
There's different stories going around saying it's only 6 to 12 months, and then you're gonna have to get it again. But they're saying it's not true, that you're fine after that. And then they're saying there's a new strand of COVID or something, and that we might have to get another shot, like a third booster. And I'm like, really? Because there's just so much going around. Nobody really knows what the heck is going to happen. And then there's just all these different vaccines. Like my dad, I call my dad the lucky one because he got the Johnson & Johnson one, which is just one dose. And I'm like, how did you? We
don't have a choice. Do we have a choice or no? I would assume if you're calling to make an appointment, like, what shot did you give me?
My dad's a school janitor, so he just literally went to work one day. They're like, hey, Reggie, you're going to go get your shot
like, hey,
today.
come here.
Yeah. They sent him to another high school down, because my dad works down in the Saddleback district down in by Laguna and all that stuff. And he gets to work, and they're like, oh, go to Silverado High School. You're going to get a shot here. And he just showed up, and he's like, oh, here, sir, here's your card and everything. You're getting the Johnson & Johnson shot. They gave him the shot, and he's like, okay. Like nothing. I'm like, okay, well, Dad, you got lucky.
Mm-hmm.
And then my mom and my younger brother, they got vaccinated on Easter, and we had to go all the way almost to what's it called, La Mirada,
Okay.
and to a CVS there. And I'm like, I wonder what shot they're gonna get. And they got the Pfizer. So we're all there's that joke now. Which shot you got? Like which vaccine you got?
Yeah.
Like House of Moderna, House of Pfizer, House of Johnson and Johnson, and we're all different
That's funny.
houses.
House of Pfizer.
And
Every time you walk in, you should say it. Like, I'm still here.
yeah, my dad's like, it's like Harry Potter in this house. I'm like, no, Dad, no. He's like, so what does that make you since you're Moderna? Does that make you Gryffindor or Slytherin? I'm like, Slytherin. We just you don't know what you're gonna get, honestly. You just show up and whatever they have, they have. You can get lucky and get the Johnson and Johnson one. You get Pfizer or whatever other COVID vaccine there is.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where you go. If you go back and get your second dose, and yeah.
Do you know anybody that got COVID pretty bad?
I had 2 friends that got COVID, and one of them was like I'm glad he made it. Like I'm very glad he made it. I've known him since I was probably like in 5th grade, and he lives in another state by himself. He's not married or anything, and he was in the hospital by himself over there. He lives out in Nevada, and I'm like, dude, like your mom and dad are over here. Why don't you just? He's like, no, I don't want nobody coming over here. I just want to be by myself. And then eventually he got so bad he ended up in the hospital.
Yeah, you need somebody to take care of you.
Yeah.
I needed my lady to go get me stuff.
Mm-hmm.
She had to go get me Pedialyte. I mean, I pissed probably like 50 gallons. I lost 30 pounds. It was rough. And it's funny because people go, oh, you probably got underlying issues.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Like
all kinds of weird shit. It's like, no, dude, like it hits everyone different. That has nothing to do underlying issues. Like what? So I'm a big UFC fan.
mm-hmm.
One of the guys, last name Volkanovski, he's the featherweight. I think he's the featherweight champion, and like guy's immaculate in shape. He got it so bad, or he got pneumonia, and he was coughing up blood. So when people say, "Well, you probably had underlying issues," like, no, dude, like it's just and there's different variants. They won't tell you the variant.
Yeah.
Because I know people that got it, and you know they're not in the greatest shape of their lives, and they said it was a walk in the park. It was just having the sniffles.
Yeah.
But man, I was in bed for 2 weeks, more probably longer. And then you go back to work in 2 weeks. Like the next day, I was like, "There's no way I can make it. I'm so out of breath. There's no way I could go to work right now."
My sister out in Minnesota, her and her whole family that lives in her household, they all got COVID. So you can imagine how my mom was when my sister called and said, "Mom, me, my husband, the kids, and her brother-in-law, they all had COVID." My sister, her first week of having COVID was like, "Oh, I'm probably just fine. I'm this and this." Her second week, it hit her so hard.
Yeah, the first 5 days is a tough flu, and then the second day, I mean not the second day. So the first 5 days I got the flu. It was I did a podcast on this right after it had happened. The first 5 days is the flu. That's how my customers. The flu. You know, it's pretty heavy. I've withdrawn from opiates before. I used to be a big oxy head or whatever you want to call it, oxymoron. I had a bad back and just escalated from there. So when you come off of those, it's like having the flu. The only problem is you got the only thing on top of that, the flu, is you got restless legs and you can't sleep. You just can't. And nothing works. You can take Advil. Nothing works. Nothing really. You just gotta bear it down and tough it up. And you're talking about 10 days of hell, and then after that, it becomes mental.
Yeah.
I mean, because even when you're withdrawing, you're thinking, if I just take that one little pill, it takes all this pain away. And you're just thinking, like, can I call? No, I can't. Should I do it? Just, I'll dwindle down. I'll dwindle down. And no, dude, you do that, you're gonna buying 20 and fucking boom, I'm gonna just take a whole one. Boom, I'm better. Like I'm like night and day. Like, let's go barbecue. Let's just keep it going. And but eventually you gotta break that. And
Yeah.
so the flu, when I got it, it was like that, just like that, but a little bit milder. But after day 5, COVID goes, okay, you think this is bad.
Here
The
comes the
second
worst. Yeah.
and boom, that's when your lungs start filling up. I mean, talking about not sleep, you don't sleep. I look like death, dude. My eyes are sunken in, and it was the worst. It was like the worst nightmare I could possibly have, dude. It just people were like, well, a lot of people are going crazy because they're locked in the room for so long. No, because that wasn't for me, because I if I had the strength, I'd get up and walk out and sit outside for 10 minutes in the backyard, and that's the most I could get up and walk back. Like, no, I need to go lay down again. So that wasn't an issue where you're just alone. But that was one of the killers for a lot of people, was just being in that room locked in there for alone. But what's the difference if you've been locked in since COVID and you're at the house?
Well, if you're like me, sometimes you were locked in your room before COVID because you just sometimes don't like people. Mm-hmm. But I saw that in because my grandparents who live here in Santa Ana, they got COVID too. And you can imagine just the thought of knowing that somebody that's like your grandparent having COVID, you freak out, because sometimes your grandparents raised you along with your parents. So when my grandma, and because I look at my grandma that lives here in Santa Ana as like my second mom sometimes. Sure, why not? And when she had COVID, I was already thinking the worst, and I'm like, no, not my grandma, not my grandpa, not them, like, because that's your second set of parents. And I was just freaking out, and then hearing them like, oh, because we would call them, and my mom, bless her soul, this is why I love my mom and my dad, both of them, bless their souls. They would make extra food just to take to my
Here, some ginger ale. You want ginger ale?
Yeah, sure. They made food for my grandparents, like, cause nobody can go see them or anything, and who's healthy enough to cook during COVID when they have COVID? Nobody is. So my mom and my dad made them food, and it helped them a little bit, and that was the only way to interact with people, even though we're just leaving that at their door. So I didn't want to lose my grandparents to COVID, so it became a praying session for me.
Let me get some of that.
Here.
Thank you. A little bit there.
Well, there goes me being the sober one here.
I'm sober. What are you talking about? This ain't nothing. It's a warm up. Yeah, it's been an honor to have you on the show. I'm losing. I got to start writing notes when we're talking, because I had something I wanted to bring up. You being Santera. Me, I'm out there on the road delivering in Santa Ana all day, and I do notice a lot of homeless.
Oh, bro.
How do you guys dealing with that? I mean, it's crazy. I'm telling you, that's who I got COVID from. I got COVID from a homeless person.
Seriously?
Yeah, because she walked into the UPS store. The manager, she was complaining about a package, whatever, and a manager called my phone because he wasn't there. Mm-hmm. So I let her use the phone. I didn't think she was homeless. I mean, she was playing the whole part. Next day, I see her. She's behind TJ Maxx, smoking it up. Peter Piper. Yeah, and then because I only worked that week Thursday and Friday, so that was Thursday. Friday, I seen her behind the building, and then Saturday, I started getting a headache. Because as far as that, I don't come in contact when no one touches my diet board when they're like supposed to sign. Mm-hmm. They don't sign, and from what they're saying, it's I don't know. Is it in the air? Is it from contact? I figured because she used my phone and she was talking in it, and then.
Yeah, because did she have a mask on?
No.
No, she didn't. There you go. Probably droplets on your phone. And then if you're like the type like me.
No, she had to have a mask
I go like this with my phone now because I just don't like having it in my face. Like, I don't care if you're the type of person that I can't have on speakerphone. You're going to be on speaker now because I just don't want my face near my own phone, even though I sanitize it. But sometimes it could happen like that. unless she was talking to you also face to face.
You think it could have been on her hand?
That's why they're telling people to wash their hands.
Yeah, right. Because yeah, I don't know, man. These because the mask that I have, it's not gonna protect me. It's just for all show.
Mm-hmm.
I have a mask up there I just bought from Target. I'm like, this ain't gonna protect us from the virus. I don't know why they tell. I mean, I guess the government's telling us because it helps a bit, or maybe it's telling us to be more cleansy. You know, what do you think about those videos that people go in there? I'm not wearing a mask. It's the government. Blah blah blah. You know, then you put in if you agree with the guy, but you still put a mask on. He was like, you're just being submissive. It was like, fuck, you can never win with these people.
I had a moment.
Just put the fucking mask on. I had a moment
at Target. Like, and it was probably back in, I'm gonna say June, and I go to Target. Like, Target to me is my sanctuary after work.
I love Target.
I fucking love Target. And when you've had
the one with Starbucks.
Yes, it has to be. If there's no Starbucks there, I'm leaving.
My thing is, we go. I actually have a red card that I use, and Target's the spot. Walmart, I can't stand it. Walmartians, forget it. I only go to Walmart if I need something that I know that I know where to park and go through the tire section and get in and out. But majority is I'll just go. I don't care if the prices are more expensive. It's just the people in there.
It's the ambiance in there.
Yeah, Walmart. You go to Walmart. All I see is Walmart videos online. People getting beat up and fighting. It's like, God, you don't see Target videos.
It's rare you see a Target video. It's very rare. Mm-hmm. But this particular day that I went to Target, I was right after work. And, I mean, it's sad to say, but, like, I was already so over it that I didn't care. I just went in my scrubs. And the first...
I go in my Browns.
No, there's people there that would look at any... Like, I saw this firsthand. They see anybody in scrubs right away, they think they're bringing COVID into the building.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't think about that.
And then... I went this particular day. It wasn't a day we had COVID patients or anything. Like, it was that downtime in the middle of summer, like the beginning downtime. So we didn't have that many patients. I'm like, I'm going to Target as is because I didn't go on the treatment floor. I didn't screen anybody. I'm just going to go. I need to just de-stress because phone calls, they get to you. Mm-hmm. I'm walking in. I'm wearing my mask. And I took off the surgical mask they give us. And I put on my cloth one. Like, just because I want a little bit more breathable. Well, you can breathe, but either way, you just want to feel comfortable. And this lady just up and downs me left, like, with her eyes and everything. And I just go up to her. I'm like, ma'am, is there a problem? And she's like, it's people like you that bring COVID into here. And that's why our stores get shut down. And I'm like, what? Like, what are you talking about? I didn't go on a treatment for anything.
I do eyebrows.
Oh, if I would have done that,
I work at a dentist, bitch.
No, she's like, you're the reason COVID is being spread. And I'm like,
I would have slapped her.
I'm like, ooh, if I didn't value my job, I would have.
She ain't gonna know unless she had her name tag on.
The thing is, I have scrubs with our company name. They do. So I'm like, you know what? If I didn't value my job, there would have been a Walmart fight video from Santa Ana, like random chicken scrubs.
It's hard because people are fucking dumb, okay? Mm-hmm. People listen to anything that TV. They watch the TV all day long. They put the TV up on their mantle with flat screens, and they just sit there and watch Channel 9 News all day, or whatever channels they're watching, the basic channels. And there's more to that. You know, it's every time I turn on the news just for shits and giggles, it seems to be nothing but just sadness.
Yeah.
And just like scare tactics. But then now you go out there, you see it all the time happening now. Especially with a big thing is Asian crime on Asians.
Crime, yeah.
I follow a few people that I talk to, and they say that it's happening. I don't know if it is just coming to light. Some people say it's been going on for a while, but it's starting to come to light. But you're seeing people beating up Asian elderly. And that's one thing that brings me back to Donald Trump and saying that he divided this country and made it more racial and racist or whatever. One thing, it was funny, but you got to understand there's people out there when he said this, but it was funny when he said it, but people out there take it seriously. He was calling the COVID the Chinese virus.
Yeah.
Or the Wuhan virus. And people like us, like, oh, it's funny. He's blaming China. We were educated. But majority of people, they don't get that. They start blaming China. Look at everybody. I can't go to work because of damn Chinese people. Damn goddamn Chinese people. And so these people that got nothing, education shit, and they're used to watching whatever they're teaching us on the basic channel TV. The rap music, we could go down the line, but you're seeing young kids beating up old Asian people.
Yep.
Beating them up and taking them on, taking their shit or whatever they're doing, dude. It's getting out of hand. I'm seeing a lot of these videos, and it's very disturbing. And that's what kind of that's why I was like, well, why is this happening? Why are they beating up old Asian people? Why are there hate crimes against Asian people? And look at, man, people like this would understand Donald Trump saying something like that because hey, everything's on an investigation with the virus and where it came from, where it originated. And we might never know. Just like 9/11, we don't know what really happened with those towers and the third building and all these conspiracy theories that people tell us. But one thing that I can definitely verify is there's a division. He made it worse. And look at what happened to the Asian people right now. Because he wants to call... People would blame... Yeah, right, for a second, right? Fucking China, dude. Now I can't go to vacation to Hawaii. Now I can't... Blah, blah, blah. I can't walk.
You remember the jokes everybody was making? All this because of a bat. And then it went from the bat to this. And now look at the outcome from this. There's Asian elderly getting hurt. I have Asian elderly patients that come in and out. And in the back of my head, I don't like thinking these things, but in the back of my head, I'm like, please don't let anything happen to them because some dumbass listened to a bigger dumbass. That's like one of my fears. I look at my patients. And
then again, I don't know if it's because of that, but I'm sure it has to contribute to something like that.
Yeah,
because there's a lot of hate towards Asians right now.
There is.
They have nothing to do with what went on.
No. You know? It's also like the street vendors, like.
Oh, yeah. The bolote man?
The elote man, the loteros and all that, the paleteros.
Yeah, they're beating them up too, huh?
Yeah, they're beating them up too. Like,
I think it's just people are desperate. People are poor and they know that he's got money on them. People will do anything for money.
They do. Like, where I work at, there's this guy that passes by every day, like 3:30. I already know because I tend to go out and get a raspado in the middle of work. I don't care because it's like you're supporting somebody that's hustling out there. It's still in the middle of a pandemic.